Yuta sits on a bench in the evening, letting out a sigh as he talks with his friend Aayaka. She listens closely while he sarcastically jokes about being good for Santa, but only if he gets something worthwhile in return. Aayaka presses him, asking what he really wants, and after a brief pause, he admits he'd like a girlfriend. Aayaka smiles knowingly, clearly amused by his answer. Shifting the conversation, she brings up Yuta's past relationships, teasing him about still being hung up on his ex. This catches Yuta off guard, and he quickly denies it. Aayaka laughs, pointing out that he hasn't really moved on yet. She even jokes about her own beauty, claiming it's why no one has gotten close to her either. Their playful banter continues as Yuta jokes about paying her to be his Santa. Aayaka then suggests he try going to a mixer, and even offers to play Santa for him if it'll help. Yuta, a bit flustered, declines, explaining he has other commitments. As the conversation winds down, Yuta mentions he has to head to his part-time job, though it's revealed this is just an excuse. Walking through streets illuminated with Christmas lights, Yuta reflects on his recent breakup. Surrounded by happy couples enjoying the holiday, he feels out of place amidst all the festive cheer. As Yuta strolls through the busy streets, he accidentally bumps into a girl dressed as Santa, causing her flyers to scatter. She quickly apologizes and kneels to gather them. Yuta helps, and for a brief moment, their eyes meet as they exchange apologies. Noticing her in the Santa costume, Yuta's heart skips a beat. The girl thanks him, and he offers to help her hand out the remaining flyers. As they finish, Yuta notices how people can't help but stare at her, captivated by her charm. Embarrassed, she blushes slightly, unsure how to handle the attention. Yuta reassures her and offers to wait until her shift ends so they can meet up. She agrees, and they plan to meet at a nearby cafe. The girl introduces herself as Mayu Shinomia, while Yuta shares his name. They part ways with Mayu cheerfully saying she'll see him later. Later, Yuta sits in the cafe, checking the time. It's been 40 minutes since their agreed meeting time, and he starts to wonder why Mayu hasn't shown up. As he waits, he sips his drink and reflects on his offer to apologize to her manager. Thinking she might have misunderstood his gesture as a pickup line, Yuta assumes she's decided to go home instead. Feeling a bit dejected, he steps outside and walks through the festive streets. Seeing couples holding hands reminds him of his loneliness. A flashback reveals his past relationship with Raina, his ex-girlfriend who cheated on him. He recalls how deeply in love he was and how he had planned an anniversary date with an expensive bottle of champagne, only to have his heart broken by her betrayal. The memory lingers, making the holiday season feel even more isolating. As Christmas songs play in the background, Yuta listens to Happier by Ed Sheeran on his phone. The lyrics mirror his emotions as he reflects on his recent heartbreak. While lost in thought, Yuta feels a tap on his shoulder. Turning around, he's surprised to see Mayu, looking relieved. She hesitates before explaining that she is about to head home, but decides to come after all. Yuta asks if they should go back to her workplace to apologize together, but Mayu reassures him it's no longer necessary. When he expresses surprise that she's done working as Santa, Mayu confirms it with a smile. She gently reminds him to stop using formal language, since they've already introduced themselves. Flustered, Yuta quickly explains that he didn't mean to sound overly polite, worried that he might have come across as rude. Mayu playfully accuses him of making her sound like an easy woman, but quickly reveals it was just a joke, leaving Yuta a bit confused, but also somewhat relieved. We start with a young man receiving a phone call. A woman explains that she was asked to introduce her best choice among her male friends, confusing him. She confirms he's her top pick, to which he responds with shock, asking what this even means. She adds that he passed with flying colors, much to his bewilderment. Before he can respond, she hangs up, leaving him with his doubts. He mumbles to himself, expressing disbelief that anyone would choose him. The girl counters with a surprising confession. "I quite like you." As he processes this, the scene transitions, showing the girl in a Santa outfit as she teases him over the phone. He remains confused, wondering if she's serious. She tells him she was invited to do something by Santa, which only adds to his confusion. Despite her vague explanations, they end the conversation with plans to meet soon. Later, the two meet in front of a train station. The girl, dressed up and looking confident, waves and greets him with enthusiasm. She explains she intended to arrive earlier, but changed her mind because of the crowd. He responds, indicating he didn't have to wait long. As they walk, onlookers whisper, mistaking her for a model due to her striking appearance. He tries to shake off the nerves that begin to creep in. As they approach the restaurant, the man begins to wonder if this situation is a scam, especially after Ayaka's warning. But his nerves settle once they enter a fancy restaurant with a reservation under the girl's name. Inside, they are escorted to a private area, causing even more discomfort for the man, as the atmosphere feels suited for couples. She invites him to sit beside her and apologizes for the situation. They share a quiet moment as the setting's intimacy becomes overwhelming. The man questions why she brought him to such a place, to which she admits that she was recently cheated on by her boyfriend. She pours her heart out, trying to drink a glass of wine, but is stopped as she's still a minor. Despite her past hurt, she remains upbeat, focusing on the food and enjoying herself. The conversation drifts back to her former relationship. She admits her shock over being cheated on, but also reveals her plans for revenge. She wants to show her ex-boyfriend that she can easily move on and that he will regret losing her. She playfully suggests showing off how close she and the man are, to which he firmly declines. She presses on, asking him to help her out just for a little while. As dinner arrives, the conversation continues to be light and filled with teasing. The girl pays for the dinner, much to his chagrin. She jokes that by following Santa's wishes, something great might happen for him. He protests, but she brushes it off as a joke. Their banter flows, with the girl managing to make him eat more than he expected. She reveals her idea to spend more time together to help her move on from the breakup. Despite his reluctance, the evening ends with her solidifying their next plan, starting her scheme tomorrow. As the night progresses, he wonders what he got himself into, imagining a complicated, event-filled Christmas. We see a gathering where a girl named Aayaka invites everyone to a place that she found for the occasion. It's Christmas, and the group is surprised by the location, thinking it would be filled with couples. Aayaka assures them she did her research to find a comfortable space for the event. She's the host, making sure everything runs smoothly. The focus shifts to a boy named Yuta, who notes that Aayaka is reliable. As they begin their chat, Aayaka teases him about seeming interested in someone. She also reveals she invited another friend, who couldn't come, as well as Ayaka's interest in talking about deeper subjects. As the evening continues, Yuta and Aayaka are surprised that the room is still empty, with Aayaka pondering where the other members are. They are alone together, and Aayaka mentions that she might have given Yuta the wrong time by accident, causing him to arrive earlier than everyone else. She expresses her amusement about the mix-up. Later, we follow Yuta and Aayaka as they share casual conversation over food. Aayaka confesses that she had tried messaging him several times, but Yuta hadn't responded because he was too absorbed in music. Aayaka admits she feels bad for leaving him waiting. Still, they exchange light banter, with Aayaka encouraging Yuta to find someone he likes. She reassures him he'll have another opportunity soon. Finally, the other members of the group arrive, greeting everyone cheerfully. The group is lively as they begin their gathering. We meet Taka, Jiru, and several others who bring a cheerful mood, causing Yuta to notice how naturally friendly Aayaka is. While everyone is chatting, Yuta observes Ayaka's ability to connect with people effortlessly. At one point, they raise their glasses for a toast, and Aayaka mentions a few topics that lighten the mood. Yuta talks about manga with Natsuki, a friend in the group. The conversation turns to their shared interests, and the two bond over common hobbies. As the evening unfolds, a different guy in the group starts flirting with Aayaka, which doesn't go unnoticed by Yuta. Aayaka gracefully deflects, and the two continue to laugh and banter. The situation becomes a little uncomfortable when one of the members, Modasaka, asks the girls an inappropriate question. Yuta quickly steps in to cut off the conversation, protecting Aayaka from the unwanted attention. As the night goes on, Yuta reflects on his relationship with Aayaka. He notices her interactions and wonders about the dynamic between them, especially given Ayaka's popularity with other guys. The evening takes a turn when another girl, Mayu, enters the scene, bringing an unexpected tension to the gathering. She's a familiar face to Yuta, and the group realizes there's more history between them. As the two exchange glances, the mood becomes uncertain. Mayu, though friendly, seems to be the center of a lot of attention as she interacts with everyone. Her presence adds a layer of complexity, especially when some of the guys start to notice her more. By the end of the gathering, Aayaka has remained her usual friendly self, despite the obvious tension between Yuta, Mayu, and the others. Yuta, reflecting on the day, walks home thinking about how his connection with Aayaka has evolved. He spends some time alone, contemplating the relationships around him. It leads us to Yuta looking at the night sky, wondering about the encounters and connections that have shaped his evening. We follow the protagonist as he recalls how his college life had been smooth sailing. He mentions joining his first club, living alone for the first time, and having a cute girlfriend, all while maintaining good academic performance. These happy memories, however, feel distant now. We see him doing chores in his apartment, cleaning dishes with some frustration, a reminder of his present situation. He comments on how slacking off on household chores has led him to this. The scene transitions as we meet Shinohara, a cheerful kuhai, who greets him with enthusiasm, dressed in a maid outfit, and declares herself to be at his service. She playfully assumes the role of a caretaker, much to the surprise of the protagonist. Walking on campus, he notes the cold weather, and after submitting a report, he decides to buy a drink. As he reaches the vending machine, Shinohara unexpectedly appears, thanking him for the purchase. Startled, the protagonist looks up to see her and greets her by the name Shinohara. The conversation picks up as Shinohara explains how most people would be happy to be around her over the winter break, hinting at wanting to spend more time together. They banter lightly about her plans and how she expects him to pay for her drink. She playfully reminds him that her visit was planned all along, teasing him as they decide on drinks from the vending machine. At some point, the two are sitting outside, sipping their drinks, when Shinohara reflects on a past event, thanking him for something related to a third character. Despite having already expressed gratitude, she repeats her thanks, much to the protagonist's confusion. The moment becomes awkward, but Shinohara keeps the mood light. She takes a sip of her coffee and quickly realizes it is bitter, making a funny face. The interaction between the two deepens as Shinohara starts revealing more personal thoughts, expressing how his presence made her feel a little bit saved that day. Despite the protagonist's protests that he didn't do much, she insists that being with him is already enough of a favor. She then playfully offers to grant him a wish, since she's a Santa. The protagonist jokingly requests that she do his chores, prompting Shinohara to laugh. Fast forward, the two head to his apartment, where Shinohara remarks on her surprise that she's going to his house. She asks for confirmation, teasing him as he reluctantly agrees. Upon arriving, she finds herself marveling at the tightness of his room, joking that she expected a mess. The two engage in a casual conversation about household chores, with Shinohara showing off her skills by cleaning and helping out. They bond over simple interactions like doing dishes together and making small talk. As Shinohara takes over cleaning duties, she and the protagonist talk about why he lives alone. She's curious, but he brushes off her question with a vague answer about having his reasons. The conversation drifts, and Shinohara casually offers to make lunch. He protests, saying he doesn't want to owe her anything, but Shinohara insists that it's just her way of thanking him for his kindness. The scene shifts to a more light-hearted tone when Shinohara presents the lunch she made, sandwiches made from the little he had in the refrigerator. The protagonist is moved, exclaiming how delicious they are, and she beams with pride. They chat about clubs, with Shinohara revealing she's part of the basketball club, while the protagonist reminisces about his time in a club as well, reflecting on how college life has changed for him. Their bond grows as they continue talking over the meal. Shinohara subtly teases him, making the protagonist feel a little embarrassed at times. However, she also opens up, admitting her hesitations and vulnerabilities. A playful cough interrupts the moment, and Shinohara stumbles, coughing while the protagonist moves closer to help her. They share a close, almost intimate moment, with a subtle tension between them as she shyly looks up at him. Feeling awkward, the protagonist apologizes and tries to distance himself, but Shinohara, still flustered, asks him a bold question. "Do you have a girlfriend?" The protagonist replies that he doesn't, adding that he wouldn't bring another girl into his room if he did. Shinohara laughs at his seriousness, playfully acknowledging his rare trait of being so sincere. As the day comes to an end, Shinohara prepares to leave for work. Rushing out after realizing how late it's gotten, she insists that the protagonist thank her for the meal, and after some teasing, he finally does. Shinohara waves goodbye, promising to visit again, leaving the protagonist feeling that maybe having her around isn't so bad after all. Shinohara walks away from the apartment, thinking to herself how neat his house was compared to her expectations. She reflects on how she originally thought he would be helpless at home, but after seeing his reaction to her food, she resolves to make him an even better meal next time. We see Shinohara smiling about how the day turned out and looking forward to their next meeting. We follow the interactions between Yuta Hasegawa and Aayaka Mino, beginning with a shopping trip. Yuta seems reluctant, expressing that they shouldn't have come out today, but Aayaka reminds him that he was the one who accepted her invitation. Despite his complaints, she sweetly offers to buy him dinner as thanks for carrying her bags. This playful back and forth shows their familiarity and comfort with one another. As they browse the shelves, Aayaka talks about her experiences with beauty product reviews and how fake reviews once led to her hair being damaged. She shares that this is why she prefers to make her own decisions, hinting at her independent nature. Yuta listens quietly, reflecting on how Ayaka's strong personality is both charming and occasionally harsh. We get a sense of how long they've known each other, as Yuta internally wonders if others see this more personal side of Aayaka. Their conversation moves to the realities of growing up. Yuta realizes that they're both over 20 and approaching adulthood, which causes him to reflect on how their peaceful college life will soon end as they transition to seniors and start job hunting. Aayaka, sensing the gravity of the topic, shares her fears that their relationship might change due to these upcoming shifts. Yuta also expresses his worries, saying he wishes he could return to simpler times like middle school. During this introspective moment, Yuta receives a message from Shinohara, a younger girl who seems full of energy. Aayaka teases Yuta, assuming it's from his new girlfriend, which leads to another playful banter between the two. Yuta insists it's nothing, but Ayaka's sharp perception makes her press on. Despite this, they share their meal, with Aayaka even offering Yuta half of what's left. Aayaka then makes a heartfelt declaration, promising that despite all the changes coming in the future, she'll always be there for him. Her sincerity catches Yuta off guard, and we see him quietly appreciate her words, though he tries to brush off the moment with humor. They laugh together, but it's clear that Ayaka's words carry significant weight for both of them. In a striking transition, we shift scenes to Shinohara Mayu, who appears outside the shop holding ice cream. She glances in their direction, seemingly intrigued or perhaps surprised at the scene unfolding between Yuta and Aayaka. Yuta reflects on the moments shared with Aayaka, hoping that their relationship as it is will never change. We open on a peaceful day, with a ring of the doorbell signaling the start of something unexpected. We follow Yuta as he moves to check the door, his expression immediately shifting to surprise as he recognizes Shinohara standing at his doorstep. Her expression is tense, clearly upset about something, and she immediately asks, "Do you have something to say, senpai?" Yuta hesitates for a moment, unsure how to respond, but Shinohara presses forward. "Why are you here?" Yuta asks, and she thrusts a shopping bag at him, announcing that she brought him a gift. The awkwardness builds as Yuta accepts the present, noting that her sudden appearance is a little unexpected. She brushes off his comment with a light-hearted charge into his home, signaling her comfort with barging in uninvited. As Yuta attempts to gather himself, he realizes he's still in his pajamas and decides to change. But before he can fully prepare himself, Shinohara calls out for him, entering the room at the worst possible time, catching him half-naked. In shock and embarrassment, Shinohara's face turns red, her eyes spinning in a fluster as she apologizes profusely. Yuta, however, remains surprisingly nonchalant about the incident, brushing it off as no big deal. Much to Shinohara's continued embarrassment. Desperate to move past the situation, she quickly offers to cook him something light, and Yuta happily agrees, mentioning that he already went shopping and has ingredients. Shinohara, still flustered, dives into the task of cooking to distract herself from the awkwardness. In the kitchen, Shinohara takes charge, asking Yuta to help with basic tasks like cracking eggs. As she moves about, we see Yuta's attention shift, as he can't help but notice how cute she looks in her apron, an internal thought that distracts him momentarily. They continue to cook together, but the conversation shifts, with Shinohara bringing out a fancy ingredient she found in Yuta's kitchen, hollandaise sauce. The lightheartedness returns as they joke about his attempt to try fancy food. Shinohara eventually reveals that today is her last chance to visit Yuta this year, explaining that she wanted to stop by before heading back to her parents' house. The mood shifts as she hints at wanting to spend more time with him in the future. She boldly declares that she wants to start having meals together 5 times a week, leaving Yuta stunned. Despite his initial shock, Yuta expresses concern about how often Shinohara wants to visit. After some back-and-forth negotiation, they settle on 2 visits a week, with Shinohara teasingly admitting that she just enjoys hanging out with him, and that she's killing time now that she's left her club and broken up with her previous senpai. With the atmosphere light once again, Shinohara finishes cooking and presents their meal, which is met with enthusiastic approval from Yuta. He compliments the food, and they both share a peaceful moment of enjoying the meal together, with Shinohara playfully feeding him a bite. Reflecting on the year that has passed, Yuta acknowledges how much has changed, especially in his relationships with the people around him. Shinohara's presence has become a part of his routine, and her influence on his life is undeniable. As she cheerfully negotiates more time together, Yuta realizes that the dynamics around him are shifting, though he's not quite sure what it all means yet. We see Shinohara's teasing smile, suggesting that she might have more planned than she lets on. Mayu, dressed in a playful Halloween-themed costume, teases Yuta by posing and making playful gestures. The scene transitions to Yuta's home, where he reflects on how a month into the new year, he's settling back into his routine. However, things have changed. Mayu now visits his home frequently. She enters the room, pointing out the mess and scolding him for not keeping it tidy while she was gone. Yuta notes that Mayu, the former Santa, now comes to this house 3 times a week, a significant increase from their initial agreement of twice a week. Mayu expresses frustration at the mess, while Yuta defends himself, saying that cleaning isn't something men typically do. Mayu insists that Yuta should at least try to maintain a clean space, but he resists, saying he'll fold his clothes later. As Mayu folds his clothes, Yuta thinks about how grateful he is for her help, even though he won't admit it directly. He recalls the deal they made last year, and how it evolved into her visiting even more frequently. Despite his reluctance to tidy up, there is one thing he genuinely appreciates: the food she prepares for him. Mayu serves him a meal, and Yuta enjoys it, reflecting on how he could never cook something as delicious on his own. He thanks her, and she playfully suggests he repay her at some point, though the suggestion is clearly in jest. Yuta starts considering giving her something for her upcoming birthday. He muses that perhaps for a special occasion like a birthday, he would consider getting her something, though he has no idea what. Mayu then surprises him by revealing that her birthday is the next day. Yuta is caught off guard, thinking about how he had intended to give her something as a thank you for all her help. She cheerfully announces her plans for a small party with friends. Yuta ponders whether he should take her out for dinner, but it seems she already has plans. When Mayu asks if he's planning to buy her a gift, Yuta awkwardly admits he is, but struggles with what would be appropriate. The next day, Yuta finds himself shopping for a wallet, but he's quickly overwhelmed by the options. Everything starts to blur together, and after visiting multiple stores, he grows frustrated. His shopping companion suggests they keep looking. At campus, Yuta seeks advice from a friend, worried that Mayu might be disappointed with his choice. His friend agrees to help him pick out something suitable, and they continue their search through different stores. As Yuta shops, he reflects on the pressure of choosing the right gift, remembering how he used to put so much thought into gifts for his ex-girlfriend, Raina, carefully gathering information on her preferences. While browsing, Yuta unexpectedly spots Raina at one of the stores. Shocked, he stiffens at the sight of her not having anticipated this encounter. Raina notices him and approaches, greeting him after what seems like a long time. Yuta is left stunned by this sudden and unexpected meeting. In the end, we see their brief but surprising reunion. We begin by seeing them strolling through a shopping district, as the protagonist reflects on how her smile makes their time together more enjoyable. They explore a scenic area, and the girl enthusiastically calls out to him, excited about the beauty of their surroundings. Later, the protagonist finds himself unexpectedly running into Raina, his ex-girlfriend, at a shop. Her presence is jarring for him, and he begins to question why she is there. While processing this, Raina asks if he is planning to buy something. He responds, but the conversation feels awkward, marked by an undercurrent of unresolved emotions. The protagonist starts recalling their breakup, which happened 2 months prior, after discovering Raina's infidelity. The memories of that moment are still vivid for him, as he remembers how Raina accepted the breakup without offering any excuses or resistance. As Raina walks away from the scene, there's a poignant moment where the protagonist acknowledges the finality of their relationship. However, Raina suddenly turns back to ask if they can meet again, catching him off guard. Before he can fully respond, the situation is interrupted by Aayaka, who storms in, demanding answers and causing a scene in front of Raina. After Raina leaves, Aayaka and the protagonist engage in a brief but tense exchange. She had been trying to remain patient, but the encounter clearly upset her. The protagonist acknowledges that Aayaka had tried to stay calm, but she admits it still bothered her. Their conversation becomes lighter as Aayaka reflects on the moment, though a trace of tension lingers. As they continue their shopping trip, Aayaka picks out a gift for him, a small but significant token. The protagonist is surprised, especially since it's the first time a girl has ever given him a present. Though he feels some awkwardness, he is genuinely touched by her gesture. Aayaka insists that he show his gratitude with actions, and they share a moment of mutual appreciation. In the final moments of the day, the protagonist reflects on how meeting Raina had stirred his emotions, but thanks to Ayaka's presence, his heart has been healed from the encounter. However, as they laugh together, Aayaka makes a comment that lightly ruins the mood, leading to a playful ending to their day. Main character is standing in front of a vending machine, holding a shopping bag in one hand and his phone in the other. He sighs, lamenting his inability to buy a coffee due to an empty wallet. We see him check the vending machine before realizing that his wallet is indeed empty. As he recalls seeing a message from Shinohara earlier, we see a woman walking down the street, presumably heading toward him. He reflects on how she might be lounging around in his room, reading manga, considering the message he just read. Shinohara, as she looks upward toward the sky, her expression is thoughtful and somewhat melancholic, as if something is weighing on her mind. Meanwhile, the main character makes his way up a stairwell to his apartment, looking at his phone screen. It shows Shinohara's message, indicating that the party she's attending will end earlier than expected. When the main character arrives home, he is greeted by a bubbly and cheerful Shinohara, who welcomes him warmly with a smile and playful tone. She stands in the doorway with excitement as he enters, asking her what she is watching. Shinohara responds, showing him the television. She appears nonchalant, but a bit of nervous energy flows between them. Shinohara quickly tries to change the subject when he asks what she's watching, insisting it's a secret. The television displays a girly show, which causes the main character to chuckle at the unexpected sight. He pokes fun at her taste, which causes Shinohara to become flustered and shyly defend her choice, even trying to hide the remote from him. As the conversation continues, Shinohara reveals she had a difficult time at the party earlier, where she told her friends about her recent breakup with Motosaka-senpai. She expresses how their attempts to comfort her didn't resonate, leaving her feeling isolated. Sitting down, she recalls the empty words from her friends and how disconnected they felt. The main character listens intently as she opens up about her emotional struggles. She reflects on how she didn't feel hurt when Motosaka cheated on her, but pretending that she did was just as painful. As they sit close to one another, Shinohara asks if she is odd for not being hurt by the betrayal, revealing her vulnerability. The main character reassures her that everyone feels differently in such situations. He tries to comfort her, though his words sometimes fall flat, leading to some light-hearted bickering. Shinohara becomes frustrated with the typical words of comfort and dismisses them as empty, growing tired of being pitted. As they talk, she admits she wasn't particularly invested in her past relationship, suggesting that she dated Motosaka more out of curiosity than love. She questions her emotions and wonders if there's something wrong with her. The main character continues to reassure her, but Shinohara struggles to find clarity in her feelings, oscillating between self-doubt and humor. Their dynamic is filled with playful banter, even as she delves into deeper emotional issues, like feeling like a toy in a past relationship and the awkwardness of dating just to experience being a couple. Eventually, Shinohara admits that she feels jealous of other loving couples and expresses her desire for a meaningful relationship. This leads the main character to give her a birthday gift, a well-thought-out present that touches Shinohara deeply. She is visibly moved, blushing and smiling brightly as she clutches the gift, clearly overjoyed. Her reaction is both exaggerated and genuine as she expresses her gratitude and marvels at how well he knows her preferences. She is touched by the thoughtfulness behind the gift, beaming with happiness. As the atmosphere relaxes and the two share a heartwarming moment, the doorbell rings, interrupting their brief respite. Shinohara, still holding the gift, goes to answer the door, puzzled by the late-hour visitor. The main character follows her, curious as well. When Shinohara opens the door, she is met with the unexpected presence of a familiar figure, Aayaka-senpai. Shocked, both Shinohara and the main character stand in silence, staring at Aayaka, who stands in the doorway with an unreadable expression. The scene ends with tension hanging in the air as Shinohara utters the name of the visitor, Shinohara-san, followed by the arrival of Aayaka-senpai. Both women look at each other, and the main character is left speechless by the sudden appearance. We observe a rising tension between the characters, setting the stage for what's to come in the next part of their complicated relationship.